Hello, welcome to a new video. Is that time again where I'm giving you my next quarter of the year for anticipated releases. So I am going to be giving you my anticipated releases for April, May and June. I cannot believe that we're already in March. It's my birthday soon. So I have mostly got some April releases here. I only have 1 May and 3 June. But let's just get stuck in with April's. So on the 2nd of April, we have the reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually read the blurb for most of these yet. A lot of them are like auto by authors. So the blurb: Lights, camera, lies. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mum's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished and young Belle was the only witness, but she has no memory of it. Rachel is gone, long presumed dead, and Belle wishes everyone would just move on. But the case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agreed to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. And then the impossible happens. Rachel Price reappears, and life will never be normal again. Rachel has an unbelievable story about what happened to her. Unbelievable because Belle isn't sure it's real. If Rachel is lying, then where has she been all this time? And could she be dangerous? With the cameras still rolling, Belle must uncover the truth about her mother and find out why Rachel Price really came back from the dead. That sounds so good. I still need to read 5 Survive, which is Holly Jackson's previous thriller standalone. I absolutely love the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy. Like, I love how dark it got towards the end, and I know that's a reason for a lot of people not enjoying the ending, but it was exactly what I wanted from that series. But I'm excited to read 5 Survive, and then this sounds so good. This sort of sounds like Belle might be a bit of a like Pip, but not as Pip as Pip is, if that makes sense. Pip from Good Girls Guide to Murder. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I am a little bit annoyed because the release date for April is for the hardback, and I have all of her books in paperback, so I will not be getting this in April, which is really frustrating. Will I probably try and get it from the library so I can read it? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what books I have to read, because I do have a lot of books of my own that I need to read. Also on the 2nd, we have Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrane. So I absolutely loved Kiss Her Once for Me. I loved The Charm Offensive. However, Kiss Her Once for Me was one of my favourite books. Like, it might be my favourite adult Christmas romance. So obviously, this has been put on automatic want to read when it comes out. So, a long time ago, Logan Malitis and Rosemary Hale used to be friends. They spent their childhood summers running through the woods, rebelling against their conservative small town and dreaming of escaping. But then, an incident the summer before high school turned them into bitter rivals. After graduation, they went 10 years without speaking. Now in their 30s, Logan and Rosemary find they aren't quite living their lives of adventure they imagined for themselves. Still in their small town and working as teachers at their alma mater, they're both stuck in old patterns. Uptight Rosemary chooses security and stability over all else, working constantly, and her most stable relationship is with her label maker. Chaotic and impulsive Logan has a long list of misguided ex-lovers and an apathetic shrug she uses to protect herself from anything real. And as hard as they try to avoid each other and their complicated past, they keep crashing into each other, including with their cars. But when their beloved former English teacher and lifelong mentor tells them he only has a few months to live, they're forced together once and for all to fulfill his last wish, a cross-country road trip. Stuffed into the gayest van west of the Mississippi, the three embark on a life-changing summer trip from Washington State to the Grand Canyon, from the Gulf Coast to coastal Maine, that will chart a new future and perhaps lead them back to one another. See, when I say I don't like second chance romances, it depends, because this very much feels like their first chance would have been when they were teenagers, and the miscommunication happened then. And now they're adults, they've got life experience, and this is where they get their second chance. And that is the type of second chance romance that I like. So I'm really excited for this. Plus, I have faith. I have faith in Alison Cochrane to write this well. Then also on the 2nd of April, We have Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogle. Now, I've read 2 Sarah Hogle books. I absolutely adore You Deserve Each Other. It is one of my favourite romances. I liked Twice Shy, but I don't know if I'd reread it. So I'm sort of like, I think I've got a 4 and a 5 star from Sarah Hogle, so I'm excited for this. A small magical town tucked away in rural Ohio, Moonville is the perfect place for flora fortunist Romina Tempest to expand her shop, where she uses the language of flowers to help the hopeful manifest their love lives. After giving up on her own big romance 11 years ago, at least she can bask in the promise of others. So when the shop's potential financier shares news of his wedding, Romina jumps on the opportunity to discuss buying the business. What better place to negotiate a deal than at a wedding, even if she has to fake date her chaotic colleague Trevor to get an invitation. But all hell breaks loose when she discovers Trevor's soon-to-be stepbrother is none other than Alex, her high school sweetheart, her greatest love, the boy who 11 years ago broke her heart and who now thinks she and Trevor are dating. What starts as an innocent misunderstanding becomes a week-long fake dating scheme as Romina resolves to make Alex pay for breaking her heart. The only issue? She can't deny their still burning connection. Caught between proving to Alex what he lost and coming clean and risking her business, Romina must decide whether giving Alex another chance means going back on herself or finally releasing her hold on the past. This is the sort of fake dating that people that don't like fake dating will like, because she's not fake dating the person she's going to fall in love with. This is great. And also, again, this is another type of second chance romance that I'm interested in. The miscommunication has clearly happened when they're teenagers. And I'm just really excited for this. I have very, very high hopes, so I really hope I love this. Next up on the 4th of April, we have Burning Crowns by Catherine Webber and Catherine Doyle. Now, I'm not going to say anything about this because this is the 3rd book in the Twin Crowns series. The first book, I've only read the first book. So the first book is about twin sisters who are princesses who are separated at birth. And they live very, very different lives. One is raised as a princess and one is not. And it is very, very, very well written. And seeing them come together, and it's great. This is the 3rd book. I need to read book 2, ready for book 3, but book 3. Then also on the 4th of April, we have Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrew. Kelly Andrew wrote The Whisper in Dark, this one here, which is one of like my favourite books that I read last year. It didn't quite hit favourites, but it was up there. Wyatt Westlock has one plan for the farmhouse she's just inherited, to burn it to the ground. But during her final walkthrough of her childhood home, she makes a shocking discovery in the basement. Peter, the boy she once considered her best friend, strung up in chains and left for dead. Unbeknownst to Wyatt, Peter has suffered hundreds of ritualistic deaths on her family's property. Semi-immortal, Peter never remains dead for long, but he can't really live either. Not when he's bound to the farm, locked in a cycle of grisly deaths and painful rebirths. There's only one way for him to break free. He needs to end the Westlock line. He needs to kill Wyatt. With Wyatt's parents gone, the spells protecting the property have begun to unravel, and dark ancient forces gather in the nearby forest. The only way for Wyatt to repair the wards is to work with Peter, the one person who knows how to harness her volatile magic. But how can she trust the boy who's sworn an oath to destroy her? When the past turns up to haunt them in the most unexpected way, they are forced to rely on one another to survive, or else tear each other apart. I loved the writing style in Whisper in Dark, and I genuinely cannot wait to see what Kelly Andrew does with this book, because it sounds so good. And then the final book for April was on the 30th, and it is Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandria Bellfleur. So, as we all know, I read and mostly loved the I think it's Written in the Stars series. I think that's what the series is called. I mostly loved that series. The 3rd book was a letdown, but that was for very personal reasons. And nothing on the book particularly. But this is a brand new one. And if you have seen the cover, I freaked out when I saw this cover, because if that does not look like Joe Keery as Steve Harrington, I don't know what does. Which is just fueling my Steve Harrington is bi headcanon, because he is. I refuse to believe otherwise. You can't convince me. So yeah, let's just go. As a best-selling romance novelist, everyone thinks Truly Livingston is an expert on happily ever afters. She's even signed on to record a podcast sharing relationship advice. Little do they know she feels like an imposter. Her parents just announced they're separating, she caught her fiancé cheating, and her entire view on love has been shaken to the core. Truly hopes the podcast will distract her until she meets her co-host. Her first impression of Colin McCrory is hot, but then he opens his extremely kissable mouth. Colin's view on love just pisses Truly off, even if he does have an annoyingly attractive face. Bickering with a cynical divorce lawyer is the last thing she needs, so she walks out with no plans to return. A few days later, Truly is surprised when Colin tracks her down, asking for a fresh start. Truly can't deny the little thrill she gets from Colin begging, so she reluctantly agrees. As they go from enemies to friends to something else entirely, Truly discovers they have more in common than she ever imagined, including their shared queerness. He's a genuinely good guy, charming, sweet, and equally as unlucky in love as herself, and there's something about Colin that drives Truly a little wild. When their attraction reaches a fever pitch, Truly is happy for the first time in years, yet she can't help but wonder, is Colin truly madly deeply in love with her, or is it all too good to be true? So, whilst I don't usually like books with cheating, it's very much when, if it was Colin that cheated on her, that's when it'd be a no-no for me, but her having been cheated on in the past, I can read that. Is it going to make me angry and uncomfortable? Probably. But as long as I go into it knowing that it's there, I can prepare myself for the anger and the pure hatred towards this ex-fiance. But I really hope this brings back my love for Alexandria Bellefleur's books, because Count Your Lucky Stars I wasn't a fan. So let's fingers crossed. So then we go on to May, and our only May book is on the 14th, and it is The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. We know Christina Henry is an auto-buy author for me. She is my favourite horror author. Have I read the blurb for this yet? No, I haven't. It's fine. We're going to do this now. Harry Adams has always loved horror movies, so it's not totally a coincidence that she took the job cleaning house for movie director Javier Castillo. Her forbidden Greystone Chicago mansion Bright Horses is filled from the top to bottom with terrifying props and costumes, as well as glittering awards from his career making horror films that thrilled audiences, until family tragedy and scandal forced him to vanish from the industry. Javier values discretion, and Harry has always tried to clean the house immaculately, keep her head down and keep her job safe. She needs the money to support her son. But then she starts hearing noises from behind a locked door. Noises that sound remarkably like a human voice calling for help, even though Javier lives alone and never has visitors. Harry knows that not asking questions is a vital part of keeping her job, but she soon finds out that the forbidden house may be home to secrets she can't ignore. That sounds so good. Also, I don't know why I couldn't talk properly while I was reading that out. I think I've been talking too much. So that was the only May one. June, on the 11th of June, we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Part of me doesn't want to read the blurb for this because it's Ali Hazelwood, but also it's an anticipated releases video, so I should read the blurb for you. So I'm gonna do it for yous. Just know that I don't usually read blurbs for Ali Hazelwood books. Rue Siebert might not have it all, but she has enough. A few friends she can always count on, the financial stability she yearned for as a kid, and a successful career as a biotech engineer at Klein, one of the most promising startups in the field of food science. Her world is stable, pleasant, and hard-fought, until a hostile takeover and its offensively attractive front man threatens to bring it all crumbling down. Eli Kilgore and his business partners want Klein, period. Eli has his own reasons for pushing his deal through, and he's a man who gets what he wants, with one burning exception: Rue, the woman he can't stop thinking about, the woman who's off limits to him. Torn between loyalty and an undeniable attraction, Rue and Eli throw caution out the lab and the boardroom windows. Their affair is secret, no strings attached, and has a built-in deadline: the day one of their companies will prevail. But the heart is a risky business, one that plays for keeps. Oh, it just sounds so good. She writes enemies to lovers so well, and I'm so here for it. I need this book. I will say I'm really annoyed with the publisher, because I've been regularly checking NetGalley for this, and they, within a space of a couple of days, had put it up and then archived it in the space of a couple of days. It's really frustrating, but yeah, I cannot wait for this. Obviously, it's Ali Hazelwood. And yeah. Next up, on the 20th of June, we have the only book on this list that I've never read anything by this author before, and it is The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I should start reading more authors that I've never read before, but you know when you just get in your comfort and stick with authors that you know and love, that's what I do. But this sounds really good. So, a recently deceased woman meets the one in the afterlife waiting room, scoring a second chance at life and love. If she can find him on Earth before 10 days are up, if she wasn't dead already, Delphi would be dying of embarrassment. Not only did she just die by choking on a microwavable burger, but now she's standing in her shine like a star nightie in front of the hottest man she's ever seen, and he's smiling at her. As they start to chat, everything else becomes background noise. That is, until someone comes running out of a door, yelling something about a huge mistake, and sends the dreamy stranger back down to Earth. And here Delphi was thinking her luck might be different in the afterlife. When Delphi is offered a deal in which she can return to Earth and reconnect with a mysterious stranger, she jumps at the opportunity to find her possible soulmate and a fresh start at life. But in a city of millions, Delphi is going to have to listen to her heart, learn to ask for help, and perhaps even see the magic in the life she's leaving behind. It just sounds so cute. Like, I'm so here for it. I really love the sound of this one. And then the final book for these 3 months is on the 25th of June, and I've already read this book. I already 5-starred it because I got an ARC, and it is Sleep Like Death by Kalynn Bayron. This book, oh my god, I'm gonna actually put the book cover up here because it is absolutely stunning. So, Kalynn Bayron did Cinderella is Dead. Now, Sleep Like Death, if you haven't guessed, it's a Snow White retelling, but dark and it's so good. Only the truly desperate and foolish seek out the night, an ancient monster who twists wishes into curses. Eve knows this firsthand. One of her mothers was cursed by the night and trapped in the body of a songbird. With the unique abilities to communicate with animals and conjure weapons from nature, Eve has trained all her life to defeat him. With more and more villagers harmed by the night's corrupt deals, Eve believes she's finally ready to face him. But when Queen Regina begins acting strangely, talking to seemingly no one, isolating herself and lashing out at the slightest provocation, Eve must question if her powers are enough to save her family and her kingdom. I cannot tell you how much I love this book. Like, I only know one person that's read it, and that's Ash, because we buddy read it, and I just want everyone to read it. This happened with Cinderella is Dead. I read an ARC of it, like, a couple of months before it came out, and then I had to deal with no one having read it, and I just want to talk about it because it's so good, so good. But yeah, when this comes out in June, please go buy it and read it because it's so good. But that is all of my anticipated releases for the next 3 months. I do feel like I've probably forgotten some, but if I have, what can you do? Let me know in the comments below if there's any anticipated releases for April, May or June that you think I would like. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.